to dissect what is going on now in the nation's judiciary, especially as it has to do with the crisis now between the Chief Justice of the country and the President of the Court of Appeal. I'm now being joined on the program by Alhaji Lai Mohammed, who is a spokesperson of the Action Congress of Nigeria. By the way, his party released a statement recently condemning the action of the NJC and asking the NJC to reverse itself. We're also being joined on the program tonight by Chief Godwill Wazirike. Chief Godwill Wazirike is a legal practitioner as well as a political analyst. He's joined us on this program several times. Gentlemen, thank you very much for coming on the program. Let me start with you, Chief Godwill Wazirike. Is this a politicization of the nation's judiciary? Is that what we're seeing now?
I would rather say yes, politicians have entered the arena of the judiciary. And the moment that takes place, serious crisis starts. Let me put it this way. What we are witnessing is a dance macabre because those revered men in the apogee of the judiciary have decided to talk with politicians, listen to politicians, discuss issues outside the courtroom. That's why we have this. We also have personality clash between the Chief Justice of Nigeria and the President of Court of Appeal. At the moment, we have the National Judicial Council, which has fully entered the Afro first by taking a position up front defending the Chief Justice of Nigeria, turning around to set up a committee, first committee, second committee, turning around again, receiving service of court processes, saying we are bound by court orders, and then jettisoning every known principle by sitting down and having only 5 men. 5 members out of 24 deciding to do what this constitution did not envisage at all.
Quite reminiscent of the kind of impeachments we had.
Exactly, that kind of Jankara Motopak activity.
All right, I'm going to let you come in here, Alhaji Lai Mohammed. You are also a lawyer, and your party issued a statement condemning the action of the NJC. Tell me what your take is on this.
Well,
do you think this is a question of politics now coming into the judiciary? You're a politician anyway.
I won't be that categorical. And our position as a political party is more or less, we are more concerned with the dangers that this particular crisis is posing. We are more worried and concerned by the fact that the NJC, which is supposed to be the bulwark of judiciary, rule of law, sanctity of justice, has now decided to become lawless and flout its own avowed, rule of law. Because we're not here to discuss the merit or demerit of the issue, but we are here to discuss whether the rule of law is being followed and whether we are not embarking on a perilous adventure or journey that could lead to a constitutional crisis that may not consume just the judiciary but the entire country. Why do I say this? I say this because if a matter is in court and is to the knowledge of the defendant, his hands are tied, he can no longer resort to self-help. What he needs to do is accept the court process, go to court and defend the issue. But when a body like the NJC now decides to ignore court orders, then what do you expect of the common man?
Anyway, let me just ask you to pause there. Let's take a listen to, because I spoke to a foremost constitutional lawyer in this country, that's Professor Ishe Sage, about this issue. Let's find out what he has to say about it. We're going to take a listen now to Professor Ishe Sage to find out what he has to say about it. Let's take a listen.
Once an action has been instituted by anybody
in this country against any other person, authority, or government, and that authority or government that is responding is aware that that action has been instituted, it is prohibited by law from taking any further step with regard to what it had wanted to do. It must now respond to the action that has been filed, and until that action is disposed of, it cannot take any further step in what it wanted to do.
Even though that person has not been served, of course there was an evasion of services.
Yes. In this particular case, of course, they admitted that they were eventually served. But even if they have not been served, the law is such that if you are aware of such an action, because in this case, the counsel to Justice Salami actually wrote to them that we have filed an action. So, you see, this particular principle is the major principle of the rule of law, and it is the Supreme Court itself that has been intoning it and lecturing us very, very vociferously on the point, starting from the case of the government of Lagos State and Ojukwu. Once you have filed an action, the other party is completely prohibited from any further action. And in fact, in that case, if you recall, because Lagos State government went ahead and evicted Ojukwu from the house he was living in after the action had been filed, the Supreme Court described Lagos State's action as executive lawlessness. That's how that term came into law. And it is what is sad now is that we are now being confronted with judicial lawlessness. That's what has happened now. And when the judiciary becomes lawless and begins to undermine the institution which produces it, and therefore the third leg of government, then we are faced with doom and gloom in the country.
Do you think the NJC was so much in a haste to announce the suspension and recommend that the president retires the president of the Court of Appeal?
Yes, you see, you could see an element of desperation in the manner the NJC was behaving, including the initial refusal to accept service, something which we associate with the lowly levels of humanity in the country, not the apex of the judiciary, which is which has a duty to both enforce and promote the rule of law. They started by doing that. That was the first shocker the whole world had. The NJC was refusing service, and then they went ahead and did it. There's an element of desperation and lawlessness which we normally associate with politicians. The judiciary is supposed to be restrained, to be reflective, to be very conservative and orderly in the way it does things. What we have seen in the last 2 days is a total reversal of what the judiciary stands for. So why it is in such a desperate hurry to get rid of a high judicial officer, why it is giving the impression that he is a target for some hidden agenda, we do not know. But the consequences are very great, because what they have started is just the beginning. It's going to snowball, because nobody's going to allow it to end at this. And I'm afraid they may bring the roof crashing on everybody.